Tony, thank you for agreeing to just have a little bit of time so we can really reflect on your coaching experience as a student coach in the Imagine Certified Professional Coach. Got a couple of questions for you today, but before we get started, I'd like for you to tell everybody, tell us about the people whom you serve and the work that you do.
All right, thank you, Marcel. I'm a pastor. I'm an associate pastor at a church in Maryland, which means that I serve a pretty broad scope of different kinds of people. So at our church and in my ministry, I serve um, children and families, and really from from all kinds of age groups, specifically youth ministry, that's middle and high schoolers. That's one area of the church that I serve in. But with the church more broadly, um, the bulk of our congregation has members in their 30s and 40s, upper 50s, young families,
Mhm.
that are families that are still growing, hence the large number of teens. We have a smaller pocket of college students, smaller pocket of um, elderly members. So yeah, pretty broad range of people. Outside of the church, I volunteer at my kids' school, helping with a group of middle school boys, leading a small group once or twice a month. And pretty soon I'll be coaching a group of middle school boys basketball. I also teach at a school, um, which is teaching adults. And the one class that I taught, that was also pretty broad range, from probably 20s. I think the oldest in our class was in their 50s.
Mhm.
So yeah, grateful to with the job that I have, be able to serve a broad scope of people.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So take us back a little bit before you started the coach training program. What was a challenge that you had in your leadership or in your development that you feel the coach training program helped you with?
Um, well, I guess even based on what I just all named and recounted once again, um, it just continued to strike me that the work that I do is people work,
Mhm.
and there's all kinds of needs that arise. Sometimes they aren't that severe, but sometimes they are, and people are. I mean, we all kind of have similar desires, similar burdens, but I think a lot of us are trying to figure things out and often need help in trying to figure things out. So, and I thought before the class that I did pretty well in trying to help people, but I did want to get sharper in my ability to be able to clearly speak into
Mhm.
their situation, but also in helping them to process and clarify things. And I've been told most of my life that I'm a good listener, and I think doing the coaching has hopefully challenged that theory. I wasn't as good of a listener as I thought, but I think other than just sharpening my listening skills in general, I've been helped in knowing what am I listening for? Like, am I listening to simply respond and give an answer, or am I listening to probe and to help clarify through questioning? I think that's been one. Um, I didn't even really know that was an area of need of mine, but since the start of the coaching class, I've been able to use that um, often without necessarily calling it coaching,
Yeah.
but kind of gently probing through questioning instead of, again, especially being a pastor,
Mhm.
people come to pastors for answers, um, but helping to slow down, listen well enough to ask better questions that helps them to arrive at at more clarity, as opposed to just getting an answer from me. So I think that's probably the biggest way that I've been helped and sharpened.
That's good because I think I said the exact same thing when I did my coach training many years ago. I said I thought I was a good listener until I took this program, and then
Yep.
uh, you mentioned getting clarity on helping people and serving people, and that's pretty inspiring because what you do every day is you're trying to help people in their spiritual lives, and many times that overflows into family life and personal and work and different things like that.
Yeah.
And how else do you think the coaching program may have helped you professionally as a pastor?
Um, Professionally, I would say it's given me more um more tools to use. It's giving me more tools um to use if if there's a phone call or if there's a pastoral visit or someone says that they want to talk. um that's that can be kind of frightening because you don't know what's going to come up and what they're going to say. um but I feel a lot more confident to address a lot more circumstances and situations, even if I myself haven't been through them.
Mhm.
Because I think I used to wrongly think that, um, I'd have more credibility if and as I get older and as I go through similar challenges or trials, which I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
But what I appreciate about the coaching class is that, again, if you coach someone, you don't know what they're going to bring to you topic wise. It might be something that's just completely out of your depth and expertise. And yet, through the questioning, you can still be equipped to help them,
Mhm.
without having to read a bunch of books or have a particular knowledge about a subject. So that helps me interpersonally because, um, I feel like I can talk to some who are a little older than me who have older teenagers that, I think to myself, I'm not at that stage
Yeah.
yet. How can I speak into it? Or even a couple that I sat with maybe a week and a half ago, um, who have grandchildren, are trying to love them, but some challenges with their son. And again, I'm not there yet. That's many years away,
Yeah.
hopefully. Um, but just being able to listen clearly and carefully and try to ask probing and thoughtful questions allowed me to feel confident in that situation. Um, and also taking a little bit of the pressure off to think that I must have an answer
Mhm.
for them right now. Um, so it's taking some of the pressure off, but also giving me more skills to deal with a, a broad scope of different people and their challenges.
That's really good because so many times as pastors, we feel we have to have all the answers, or we are expected to have the answers. And
Yeah,
then what coaching does is it really disarms that part or that expectation because it doesn't matter what they bring up. We
yeah,
can coach them, and I love what you said. We can listen and not be afraid of, well, am I not going to be qualified to answer this? It's just, okay, let
yeah,
me just listen to what they're saying, and I don't have to know everything there is to know about their industry or about this age group and, grandchildren, for an example. And but at the same time, I can follow a process and I can help them. So
yeah,
that's really good. And I love the idea or the metaphor of tools. And we talk a lot about that in the coaching program, different tools. What
yeah.
would you say, Tony, was inspiring for you on a personal level about the coaching program as you went through it? And we went through it as a cohort, but what
Mhm.
was particularly inspiring for you?
One thing that was outside of outside of, I guess I'll say two things. One, I'll say how quickly I was able to implement the tools, even when I didn't quite know what I was doing as a coach.
Mhm.
Because pretty early on in the coaching session, there was a couple who I met with or I was meeting with, and they were really kind of on the edge about counseling because, they felt uncomfortable with that. Sometimes people can feel maybe unnecessarily threatened by counseling. It's like, okay, there's something wrong with us. But I approached them like, let's think about this like coaching instead of counseling. And that took all of their fears away. So it was me helping them to be put into the driver's seat and just to even see their faces. Because I think for years they've been approached with like counseling and just feeling like there's this black cloud over their relationship.
Mhm.
I think with my conversation with them, it was like, no, no, every couple has their issues. Um, but you all are in the driver's seat, and how can I help come alongside? So this is coaching. This is not,
Yeah,
I'm not just telling you what to do. I'm trying to help you to discover how your marriage can work better. So that's one thing. Another thing is just being coached by the peer coaches.
Mhm.
Um, Several of them who I know well, and just even over time, um, being coached, or I think over time seeing how much they've improved as a coach.
Yeah.
And for some of them, I have jokingly told them like, as soon as you're done, let me know so I can pay you something
That's right.
uh, for some continued coaching. But yeah, because I try to use real life circumstances in the coaching session,
Mhm.
and I felt very helped through actual circumstances that I'm wrestling with or processing
Yeah,
by peers. So even seeing their progress was also really encouraging too.
that's good. Yeah, on several occasions I said, "Hey, I need a coach today, so I want you to coach me." And it was funny because once they got over that, oh no, I got to coach the mentor coach. They actually did a good job because they followed the process.
Right.
So now thinking back a little bit before you started the program, did you have any doubts before starting the program that maybe were resolved as you started the program?
Doubts about coaching?
Doubts about coaching or the length of the program, things like that?
Um, well, I was aware of what that you went through coaching before. So I wouldn't say doubts, but I didn't quite understand it, or maybe I didn't inquire as much about it. So even on that first intensive, um, I walked away with a better understanding of what this even is.
Okay.
Because a lot of people can throw around the word coaching, but this is different than, like, say, coaching a basketball team.
Yeah.
You can apply some of these skills to that for sure, but it's different. It's still, I guess I didn't understand how um, how communal coaching is meant to be, as opposed to, you have the coach, you have the student. So
Right.
let me just lead you and tell you all the things.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't think doubt necessarily, but I guess I just didn't really have category for what we were actually doing.
Okay.
And as far as the program itself or the length, um, no, I didn't have any real questions about that. I think for me personally, I probably um, it was not only coaching, but it was something else that I took on at the same time. And the hindsight probably wasn't great. So kind of midway through the way, I had to decide I really need to drop that other thing right now
Mhm.
and commit to this especially because I was already seeing the usefulness of the coaching.
Right.
So, I don't know what I'm going to do with coaching beyond this certification necessarily yet, but midway, I already decided like, yeah, this is worth the time and investment.
Yeah.
And I remember getting off of one call, going to Erlene, my wife, and
Mhm.
saying, I really like this. Like this is really good.
It's good. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's what I would say.
Yeah. And I think what one of the things I've gotten out of it, just like you, is when you start serving people with the coaching skills, now you have more tools and
Mhm.
you realize, okay, I can really help them. I can really empower them. And I love the example you gave earlier of, oh my gosh, I have this fear of being counseled, or they tell me any counseling, but well, has anyone ever said you might consider coaching
Right.
and not knowing what that is? So I really like that. And of course, there's a time for counseling when people need it,
Sure.
but we know sometimes what they need is coaching. So you mentioned the intensive, Tony. You mentioned the peer coaching. You know the program. We also have the self-study videos. What part of the program would you say was just, if you had to pick one, which one for you was the most valuable as you went through it?
You said the intensive, the videos, or
Yeah,
the
the
peer
self-study
coaching?
videos. We had the monthly, bi-monthly meetings. So
Mhm.
yeah, there were four: the intensive, bi-monthly videos, self-study videos, and then we had the peer coaching.
I would say the peer coaching for sure, with the being the most impactful. Second would probably be the monthly sessions.
Mhm,
And I would probably only say second because I wasn't able to join as many of them live as I wanted to.
mhm.
Um, and um, the intensive, I think I would rank third. And then fourth, I would put the videos, though I did think the videos were really well done. Like it even especially in light of missing some of the classes, some of the live classes, it definitely helped to fill in gaps.
Yeah.
So between that and then doing some of the peer coaching and then getting good feedback, I did feel like I was still kind of a step behind,
Mhm.
missing some of those classes that I did, but it didn't feel like I was completely lost.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah. And that was evident when we were doing mentor coaching. You had caught up and even though you were a little bit behind at times, there were a few others that were in the same boat. And
Hmm.
then we did some of the makeup classes and makeup mentor coaching and it worked out. And it was interesting to see those that were a little bit behind actually accelerated and even surpassed some of the ones who were already tracking. So it was good. Now, what about, let's talk about serving again. How did the program empower you to become more confident in your communication with people? Because that's a big part of what you do as a pastor. How has becoming a certified coach empowered you to serve others with more confidence?
Um, yeah, I think it's empowered me to yeah, I think personally to not feel like um I need to be an expert in order to be useful,
Mhm.
in order to be helpful. Um, yeah, and I just didn't, guess I underestimated the impact of a really good and well placed question, um, and then even follow-up questions. Um, and I think it's also helped me to be a bit more comfortable with silence, because even as a teacher, I was a teacher for many years. One thing I was um, one thing the kids would kind of ask me at certain times if I was trying to explain something, I would kind of layer the explanation or I would layer the question with other questions because it felt like I was trying to arrive at clarity and probably in some cases made it less clear.
Mhm.
But I've been more confident, even that's a small thing, but more confident with an initial question, not in myself necessarily, because I can reword a question if I need to, but also without thinking like, oh, okay, if it's silent in this conversation, Are they going to think that I don't know what I'm doing? Are they going to think I don't know what I'm talking about? Um, it's just like, no, it's okay if I leave some space for
Hmm.
me to think. It's okay if I leave them some space. Um, if they don't understand my question, I'm sure they can let me know they don't understand it. So yeah, I think um, it's easy to come into any kind of situation as the problem solver. And I've just been helped in thinking somewhere along the way, I want this to be clear that we're sharing this load. Um, you know, that I'm not necessarily here as the expert that's going to solve everything, but I'm going to actually help to put you into the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And I think that even that just encourages and empowers people um, because um, I think in most other realms of life, you are told what you need to do and when you need to do it by, and you are just giving answers. And if people have questions,
Mhm.
what do they do now? They go to ChatGPT or
Yeah.
they go to Google and they try to find someone outside of themselves to give them the clarity and the answers instead of just sitting with it longer to work through it.
Yeah.
And when people do, they always feel stronger about it because they've owned it in
Mhm.
some way.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think that's helped me. And even to know like if I leave a conversation with someone and we haven't solved all the problems in their marriage in that one conversation, like that's okay.
Mhm.
And I shouldn't expect that their problems are going to be solved in one conversation, nor should they. Um, or insert any other matter. So it's just allowed me to be more slow and deliberate. I'm thinking now of another couple that I've been sitting with for, we probably met for maybe at least 5 or 6 different times, but I've had the kind of coaching emphasis, and they're a younger married couple. So a couple of times they're just like, "What should we do, Tony?" I'm like,
Tell me what to do.
"Um, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to keep asking some questions,
That's good.
and let me tell you what I hear, and let me tell you what I'm observing based on what I'm hearing." Um, and I think they've been really helped by that too, and even encouraged. Like at the end of the day, I'm going to leave, and then it's going to be the two of them. They need to work through those matters as a couple. I want to help them and equip them,
Yeah.
but again, it's on them to do the work. So
Mhm. That's
yeah,
good.
I'm not sure if that's answering the
Yeah,
question.
no, that's exactly that's really good because it's all about I love what you said, it's not only a partnership, but they're in the driver's seat. You're just going along for the ride. And you're not trying to persuade them or lead them down a direction. You're just really walking with them. And you have a lot of good examples. And I think that's the idea. And when it's all said and done, like you said, hey, I'm helping you by empowering you so that you can do this on your own. And of course, I'm going to be here to guide and to be a support for you. But that's really valuable because oftentimes, yeah, people go to Chat GPT and Gemini or other tools, but in reality, that's not, they don't need more information. They need more empowerment. That's really
Right.
what they need.
Yeah, that's good.
So as we kind of wrap things up a little bit, I want to ask you a
Mhm.
few more questions. One of them is a coaching question that we always love to ask. What's possible now that you're a certified professional coach?
That's a good question. Uh, well, what's possible is that I can try to discover a way to formally, or maybe more formally, use this in my life. Um, I might need, maybe I'll reach out to one of my other peers and get some coaching about what that could look like. Um, but yeah, yeah, I don't know if it should be something that's, kind of separate on a side thing, or maybe that means taking another step. I just wrote down the marriage coaching because that's one thing I was
Hmm.
very interested in from the start. Um, this seemed like a real mountain to get over this hurdle, but now that this is done, it's like, oh, I think I can surely I can do that if
Yeah,
I've done this.
sure.
Um, yeah, I don't know if I'll go the full ICF route, though I would still be interested in it. I would probably just take my time on it,
Yeah,
be just adding one thing at a time. But that would be possible now
yeah.
that I'm getting the certification. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's exciting.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, a couple have mentioned the marriage coaching and really now that you understand what coaching is, whether you move on to the marriage coaching or you stay with life coaching or even executive coaching, you're starting from the same base,
Mhm.
which is, pure coaching. Um, so now that you've crossed the finish line, so to speak, how does that make you feel? Like you said, it was a big mountain. So how do you feel now that you've been able to make your way through the program?
I I feel encouraged. I do feel empowered. Um, yeah, it's been good to have something like this that um so I've done a lot of schooling and this hasn't involved all the costs or even all the time commitment or a move or anything like that. And yet being able to implement this so kind of naturally within not just ministry but in life, like in some of my conversations with my wife or with my kids, just helping me to think differently as I'm talking even with them. Um, yeah, it's just been encouraging that it's not all or nothing. I don't need to do all of ICF right now or it's failure. I
Right.
can do this as the first large step, but the first step,
Hmm.
and then slowly add to it. And while I'm adding to it, um, hopefully as I'm using the skills and certainly want to do some actual coaching because I don't want to lose the skills
Hmm.
that I'm learning. And yeah, it's just that's been encouraging to me.
Okay, good. So the last few questions have to deal with, or they deal with someone who is maybe considering becoming a certified coach, whether executive coach, life coach, or marriage coach.
Mhm.
What would you tell them? I mean, if they're on the fence, so to speak, what would you tell them?
Just do it like Nike. Yeah, if you're on the fence, I think you'll think, what is this for and why am I doing it? At some point, though, whether it's through watching a video or through one of the early sessions, or even if you're being coached or one of those first coaching sessions where you do it and you have no idea what's happening, at some point, then the light bulb's going to turn on. It's like, oh, that's what this is about. Or, oh, this is what it feels like to be coached. Or, oh, this is what it feels like to ask this kind of question and get this kind of response to see the light go on for the person that you're coaching. At some point early on, it'll click. And therefore, at some point, you'll be able to start to use this outside of being a professional life coach, though that could be a great goal. So yeah, I've found few different programs, few other programs that I've done that you're just so kind of quickly and naturally able to implement it into your life. So you stick with it, you'll find that it's very quickly useful.
Okay,
So just do it.
just do it. I like that. Anything else that you would challenge them as far as if they're considering, well, why should I consider doing it now and not 6 months from now or a year from now? What would you say?
Um, because 6 months from now, you won't have as much more time as you think you'll have. So like if I thought at the beginning of the year, oh, the my job situation is changing a little bit, so that'll free me up. Um, and like yeah, I was freed up in some ways, but not in others.
Mhm.
And that's just life. Because then if I think to the summer 6 months from then was also very busy. A few months on from that, now this is still busy.
Yeah,
So there's not a perfect time.
yeah,
But with the schedule, and also even the fact that you do have the video element, so it's kind of self-paced in that regard. With the calls, you have that kind of internal clock that pushes you
mhm,
to, you know,
yeah,
get your peer sessions or watch some of the videos.
yeah,
It can be done.
yeah.
Um, and later it's not necessarily better to
Yeah.
get that done.
Well, thank you, Tony. I really appreciate it. And that helps. I mean, that encourages me as well as I see you and others work through the program and finish it. And yeah, we have some time to figure out what's next and how to use it. But at least practically speaking, you can use it now serving people in your church. So thank you
Yeah.
for your time and for encouraging others.
Thank you, Marcel. Appreciate you.